Hello, everybody. It's Annette here, and I'm with Renee Rivera. Hey, Renee.
Hi, Annette.
I wanted to chat with you today about the bathing suit zone that you mentioned a couple days ago when we were together, and you said, we need to share this with people, Annette. I said, why? And I want you to explain to people right now why we should share about the bathing suit zone.
Well, because I wasn't familiar with the term, first of all. And so if I was somebody that wasn't familiar, there's probably other folks out there that probably would be questioning, well, what is that? And to add to that, I didn't understand it until I think I was around 13, and my mom was putting little pamphlets around on our end tables, in the two different rooms we had, and teaching us about what's proper, what's not with touch. And also previous ministry that I've worked with, the folks are coming out of dysfunction and having raised kids, but raising kids while on drugs or whatever the situation was. And now, they have a relationship with Jesus. Now they're, straight and narrow, they're clean. They've been reunited with their children and they're parenting now. It's a great thing. But the thought came to mind when you said babies bathing suit zone, like, oh, shoot, that might be a parenting tip that maybe these friends of mine have never been taught, because maybe they grew up in dysfunction and then they've not been able to teach that to their kids either. So I just thought it would be a good topic to bring up today to equip parents with, and even individuals, to know what it is. Sometimes people don't know until they're taught. So please teach today, Annette.
Well, the simple part about it is, when you're talking to your child, you go, this is your bathing suit. And you can do this in the winter, you can do this in the summer, this is your bathing suit. And for a girl, we put on a whole piece, and for the boys, we would have their bathing suit trunks on, and explain to them just really simply, this is your private area. With a bathing suit zone is your private area. And you're the one that allows people to touch you in this private area. It's not for other people to put their hands on, or for you to take your hands and put your hands in somebody else's bathing suit area. That's not okay either. We also explained, because sometimes physicians need to go into those bathing suit areas to help so that you could stay well. And so that was important, that they understood that they needed to give permission for the physician to go ahead and to get into those bathing suit areas. And though they may not like it much, they need to understand the reason why. If you can explain the reason why, that really helps them out a lot, to be more comfortable with the physician having to go into those areas. But that's how we explained it to them, and kept it simple. But you could do that so early, at 2 and 3 years of age. They understand the bathing suit area, especially with all the potty training going on.
Yeah. I'm already saying that to my little grandkids who are in diapers, and one's now in the underwear. But yeah, I've been teaching it since they were little. This is your private area. You save this for your wife. Those kind of things. But I love the terminology of bathing suit zone, because it teaches them a really good visual of themselves, and even of others, of, oh yeah, where I can touch, where I can't, kind of thing. I can touch my friend's arm, but not over here. That kind of stuff.
That there's okay touch and not okay touch. And so we wanted to make sure that that was clear to them as well. So good touch and there's bad touch. And so that was all part of that training piece in there, as well as there are people who want to tell you a secret that they don't want you to tell mom and dad. That's not okay.
Yeah.
The difference, though, between a secret and a surprise. And for like our 5-year-old granddaughter, it would be hard for her to understand. We're going to have a surprise party for dad, so we don't want to tell dad. But if you sat down and you explained, a surprise is where somebody doesn't expect it, go through the whole process of what a surprise is, compared to a secret, they're able to actually distinguish between the two. So they understand that they're not going to keep secrets from their parents. They're not going to keep secrets from those adults in their life that they need to go to for help, or for when not knowing something or not understanding something. want to make sure that they have that safe area to go to. The other is we didn't force our kids to kiss their grandparents or hug people, aunts and uncles, especially since we lived a distance away at times. So they didn't see them so often. So when they did see them, they weren't as comfortable as the aunt and uncles were. They were just thrilled to see the kids. But the kids themselves were like, oh, these are strangers. This feels awkward or whatever it is. So we didn't force that because that just makes us not respect them and being intimate with somebody else, even in that kiss the cheek factor or hug factor, that type of thing. We wanted to make sure they were comfortable. But we did talk to them about having other options, whether doing fist pumps or high fives or handshakes as well.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I've got a story I can throw out for that. Well, being at a party, a little boy, little preschooler, an aunt was coming up to him. Oh, let me give you a hug. No, thank you. So proud of this little guy. He was really good at using the no, thank you, because he was teaching me when I'd say no, no, thank you. And it was neat that the person that went up to him wanting to give him this huge hug, because they love kids, their response was, good job, and a high five, and just reinforced that his choice of receiving the hug as well as saying no to the hug he was making wise choices. And the fact that he said no was one of the good choices. And the high five was just cool that it was an affirmation to him. And of course I was applauding on the side too, because,
They were respecting his wishes. They were respecting his safe zone and what he would accept, at that time. I mean,
and it was cool that as an adult, they asked permission, and it was cool as a kid to already be taught by the parents. No, thank you. Yes.
Thank you. And things change. You may have a child that loves to be hugged like crazy. And then all of a sudden 2 years go by or something, they don't want to be hugged anymore. They would rather just have a fist pump or put your arm around them or whatever else it is, a kiss on the cheek, but they don't want to be hugged or whatever. It can go back and forth.
Yeah.
But to be open to figuring out what the changes are, but teaching them how to communicate, like somebody taught that little kid to go ahead and communicate. And that's the biggest thing. If we could teach our kids how to communicate, no, especially to adults, which is a lot of time very intimidating. If they're able to communicate that no and practice it around people that will be open to that practicing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes it safe and it makes it good.
Yeah, like grandparents or neighbors or just people they're around often that they could practice it on, and they could, I guess, put them in fun scenarios. I want your truck or whatever it is, no, thank you. Just practicing that.
Absolutely. And lastly, with the bathing suit zone and trying to keep our kids safe was having a plan in place. So they're not going to always be with us. We knew that. But if they were to go with an aunt or an uncle or just to a store with a neighbor or who knows what, that if they got lost, who could they go to?
Right.
If they got into trouble, if people were going beyond their bathing suit zone, who could they go to? What adult was there? And to talk about that until they already had the answers figured out. So in the beginning, it was like, well, who could you go to? Well, I can go to the register person if I got lost in the store. That's a really good idea. I can go to the guard in the store. That's a really good idea. But don't walk out of the store. That's where you got lost.
Yes.
Stay in the store. Things like that. With those pre-planned, by the time they were older, we'd say, well, what happens if they would have answers? They'd already practiced.
Right. Yeah. An example of that is a friend telling me that when they were like a teenager going with a sibling to an amusement park, and somebody had touched them in the bathing suit zone they weren't supposed to. And as soon as they came out of that ride, looking for the authority to report it, so I
Excellent.
don't know what happened after that, but if you report it immediately, teaching the kids these things, empowering them young so that when they're older, if this does happen, they're immediately able to, squash it, get it to the authorities. The authorities can then reprimand that person before it's done to someone else, or they return to another location and do it again. So,
That brings up, we also did teach them the correct words for the body parts. If you don't teach them the correct word for the body parts, when they are talking with other people, they won't know what they're talking about, especially if your home in the beginning started talking about body parts with maybe baby names or cute little names for body parts.
yeah.
But it's okay to me to use those, but at the same time, they still need to know the real actual names of the body parts. It not only empowers them, but it also helps others who are trying to help them
True.
in the future.
True. It's like having the same language, and being able to communicate it. So say it is a little 2.5 year old and something may have happened. They might be just spitting out a word here, a word there, but if they're being taught the right word, not just the baby words, or a 3 or 4 year old, sometimes a sentence isn't going to come out. I was 13 when I reported it, and I wasn't given full sentences. I was just putting descriptors and things like that when I first reported it. And so, yeah, having the right words, I think, is valuable and empowering, like you had said.
I know for me growing up, those words weren't used, the English version of our body parts, but I was taught Spanish words for those body parts, even though I was never taught Spanish in the home. For the body parts, they were taught in Spanish. So when I went to refer to those later on in life, I couldn't communicate very well because the people I spoke to didn't speak Spanish.
Oh.
So yes, the confusion of it all can be there, and it just takes it out and makes it so much easier for everyone all around. That's
yeah, I agree. Mm.
So the bathing suit zone, Renee, you get it?
I got it.
I'm sure there's other ways to describe it. It's just the simplest that worked for us. So,
yeah.
Well, Renee,
I appreciate it.
Talking to you again, and we will talk again soon. All right. Bye-bye.